Have you ever done this when you watch a horror movie and you're like, you just turn the sound down when it's like, you're like, I don't want, I'm bailing out on this jump scare.
Hi.
Hello.
It's so lovely to meet you both.
Good to meet you.
So I'm with Cineworld, and we're very excited to be bringing Nosferatu to the big screen.
Awesome.
The original movie was first released in 1922 as a silent movie, but you guys now get to give these characters a voice. How did you go about kind of creating the voices for your characters?
It was a huge challenge for me, a very exciting challenge. But I knew that the voice is the thing that I work the most at, and Robert is very specific with the things that he likes and doesn't like, which is very helpful for an actor because you could record yourself and you send it to him and he goes, here, like, or you're hit, like, he's so specific that he's like, you're not, like, you should hit the consonants harder on this word, like that kind of stuff. The movie is, it is a remake of the 1922 movie, but it's also Robert's version of that movie. So it is, it is very researched, and it is, you anchor it in historical accuracy, and that goes for Orlok as well. That this our Nosferatu is an undead Transylvanian nobleman sorcerer, and he was alive in the 16th century, and that's the attire that he still wears, and all of these different things, and that goes with the accent and the voice, and everything is kind of anchored in some sort of history.
Yeah, I love that. Did you have anything for your character and getting into character for it at all?
For the voice, there was moments where I looked at doing an accent, making it more regionally specific, but actually we ended up keeping it as kind of, it's obviously slightly more RP than how we speak nowadays, or how I speak naturally. And then it's more about the specific words and cadence of the language from that era, I suppose. But I wasn't putting on a majorly different voice, if I'm honest.
No, I love that. And Bill, did you find that you were kind of, do you ever slip into your accent that you had in your daily life now, or are you...
All the time.
Every day.
Good morning.
Something which also really kind of struck me was the music and the soundscapes throughout the movie. What kind of role do you think that music has played in this film?
Oh, the score is incredible, and all the sound design as well. When you get to see it in a theatre with the booming sound over it, it's soaring. Because, whenever you watch, I don't know if you've had this, but a few times I've seen movies before the score is in, and it's such a strange feeling because you realise how much the sound design and the music makes you feel and instructs you in terms of what the feeling is. And then, I mean, even seeing this film again the other night, listening to the score like soar through those last couple of scenes, I could really feel it like lifting my body, but then also kind of having these very different emotional impacts on me. So I think that's one of the great things about seeing a film like this. It's, in the cinema, it's visually stunning, but also the sound and everything is completely immersive.
I mean, I studied music, so I completely agree with you. I'm always that person that waits till the end to like see who the musicians were at the end of the credits and that kind of thing. And I think I love that you touched there on the cinema experience. We're obviously going to be playing this in the cinema, but also playing it in IMAX. So why do you think?
I'd like to see this in IMAX.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like, why do you think it would be such an epic film to see on like the biggest screen possible in IMAX?
Well, I think I just kind of it's that same thing. It's firstly visually, it's stunning and it completely draws you into the world.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of an odd mix of emotions at that point because it's obviously scary at moments, but also because it's so beautiful to look at. There's something that draws you into that, and then the sound and everything else. It's just something that's completely immersive and feels so authentic. The world that Rob and his team have built within this, that it's an experience, I think, to share with people.
Yeah. It's a technical feat. This movie, it's such high level filmmaking, and with I feel like a lot of people we're so accustomed to these days movies being manipulated in post and it's all of these like trickeries and film trickeries. So much of this movie is actually practical, and you watch it and we know how practical it was because like we were part of all of these very elaborate one-takers and everything. But it just means that like you can feel the craft and sitting in at IMAX, the biggest screen possible to watch it will be undeniably immersive. I think that I think the movie's probably immersive on your phone, but on an IMAX thing, it's the only way to do it. It's the only way to see this film. Not maybe just on IMAX itself, and then there's also something about scary films are always better to watch collectively in a group of people, and you feel the tension, and you can hear the little, people. One person screams really out loud, and all of that just makes for a really fun ride.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, being immersed in the cinema, I think, is one of the best feelings in the world, really.
Yeah, and you can't escape it.
No,
right?
you literally got to stay there.
Home, you're like, oh, pause, or you're like,
in your seat.
Have you ever done this when you watch a horror movie and you're like, you just turn the sound down when it's like, you're like, I don't want, I'm bailing out on this jump scare. Not scared at all.
Yeah, you've got to commit. Once you've stepped foot in that cinema room, you are there.
You're there, and I think the movie demands that of you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And just really quickly, just before we wrap up, what is the recipe for the perfect horror movie, and why does Nosferatu fit the menu for that?
Why does Nosferatu? I think the thing that scares me the most is like tension, and I think that's something that Rob, as a filmmaker, is a master at. Just building the suspense and tension, and it's when you know something's happening, but you get that pit in your stomach, and you're like, oh, I don't know what it is, and it's eerie, and that is probably what I connect to the most about these types of films, I suppose, and specifically this one.
I think I should add that Nosferatu and Dracula is kind of this, it's so ingrained in us as possibly the greatest sort of narrative horror that we have. It's someone told me that there's 170 versions of Dracula that's been made.
Really?
So it's probably it's a story it's a horror story that is for so many different reasons so ingrained in our subconscious at this point. And when you watch this movie, there's part of this horror story that subconsciously is just ingrained in you.
Yeah.
But then it's also a completely new version of that. So in terms of horror films, this is the grandfather of them,
Oh my gosh, what have you said? The grandfather of horror films. That sounds like a great way to end the interview. Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you both, and we can't wait to reach to the big screen.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
I'm ready.